Jamie, we are talking about this body camera video that was released yesterday, and I first just want to get your thoughts because I know we heard a snippet from you earlier about the importance of releasing this body camera video so soon after this incident.
Yeah, I mean, I have to give credit to Chief Smith over at the OPD for being transparent and fast tracking this body camera video, if you will, to try to settle the nerves of the community and show that the police were there. They did what they had to do, not what they wanted to do, Garrett, but what they were forced to do by these gun wielding guys that came out of the door.
And as we see this body camera video, you see it kind of framed here, highlighted the man who walked out the door, as we saw in the surveillance video that Fox 35 had exclusively obtained on Friday, that shows this man walking out the door, and then you see the SWAT team opening fire after that. And what we learned yesterday was it was a second person standing inside that doorway who was the one who ended up being shot. And so I'm just wondering, when you are just kind of the thinking and the response from these SWAT team members that we are seeing in this video here, when you respond to this situation and then moments later someone walks out or pops out that door with an AK-47.
I'm thankful for the body camera footage that was released because it's going to show the people sitting at home that just have never worn the gun and badge or have eyewitnessed anything like this. It's going to show them here just how fast these happen. And I've got to tell you, over my career, I was trying to figure out how many search warrants I've written and executed over my career. It's hundreds. And you never know what's behind that door. I do want to point out, social media is on fire, as it always is. But before this warrant was executed by the Orlando SWAT team, they were ample notification and announcements before they made entry or attempted made entry, i.e. police with a search warrant, hands up, police with a search warrant. So they certainly knew the police were there, hence the guy running out the back door with the AK-47.
Now, we have heard from the mother of the man who was shot, who was, according to investigators, kind of standing inside that doorway there, say that police shot the wrong man, and police pointed out that he was armed as well. May not have been the one to kind of walk out the doorway with the gun, but they do believe he was armed as well. And I'm just curious, from an investigation standpoint, when you're looking at FDLE looking into the officer-involved shooting aspect of this now, how they might kind of come at this and look at this and see whether this was justified use of force, or whether these officers could face any trouble or discipline for striking someone who may not have been necessarily the intended target, even if they were armed.
Here's the short answer. FDLE is going to do a thorough investigation, but I want to back up for a moment. The individual that ran out with the AK-47 that was not shot fatally, he will be looking at murder charges based on his partner being shot by police. So, that's going to be wrangled out in the legal system to come, but I would look for murder charges on him based on his actions carrying out the attempted attack on the police. But here's the other thing too. Now, it's unconfirmed. I don't have any independent sources, but I'm being told the individual that was fatally shot by police possibly was in possession of a stolen handgun. And to further that, it's my understanding blood was located on that handgun. So, from FDLE's standpoint, forensics is going to be crucial. They want to put that gun in the hands of the individual that was fatally shot by SWAT, to confirm that he, in fact, was armed during the search warrant, if that makes sense.
Now let's talk about the search warrant, because I know you talked about this is something that you have dealt with, who knows how many times. And I'm just curious what all goes into the planning and the execution of one of these, specifically when you're talking about a location that is public. I mean, you see the aerial view there. We're talking a tattoo shop that's in a strip mall along pretty busy thoroughfare in the city of Orlando, in the northwest side of town there. And I'm just curious what all goes into the decision of where and when to kind of execute one of these warrants in a situation like this.
Yeah, a good point you made about a public building or facility. And I've done numerous search warrants at public buildings or businesses over my career. And, here's what goes into it. We know that the affidavit, it was about a 2-month-long investigation by the Orlando Police Department. It started out with an anonymous tipster who wanted to relay this information to the police. So, they took that information and rolled with it, if it will. They started doing surveillance. They started capturing what appeared to be drug transactions on surveillance videos. They were doing surveillance. And Garrett, essentially, they took that investigation and built up enough probable cause to have a judge review their affidavit for a search warrant, whereupon we know now that the judge signed off on that. So, not only did the Orlando Police Department think they had enough probable cause for a warrant, now you have a sitting judge who signed off on that warrant. So we're all good up to there, right? There's speculation out there that, it was a business. They shouldn't have done this during the business hours. Well, guess what? These guys were operating during normal business hours, which dictated their decision to execute that warrant when they did.
Is it one of those things where you try to look at the mitigating, factors to kind of mitigate risk and that kind of thing, but at the same time, if you got to go, you got to go?
Yeah, and not giving up any tradecraft secrets, but it doesn't take a rocket scientist to figure out. They've done surveillance up to the point of getting the warrant signed by the judge. But here's the caveat of that. In every search warrant that I authored and executed, we would have pre-surveillance of that location, meaning you would have a couple of undercover agents, if you will, doing surveillance of your target location, whether it's a business or a house. Here's the deal. You want to collect the intelligence to find out, number one, how many people may be in there? Do you see any guns? What's the traffic light? And here's the big kicker. Are they children in the house or the business? And I can tell you, had they been underage children in there, I would be hard pressed to say they would not have executed it while children were in that facility. They would have waited. So pre-surveillance was king because they needed the intelligence before they went in and executed this warrant.
So what happens next, Jamie? And, kind of a couple different investigations. Obviously, the Orlando police continuing to look into the drug charges and that incident that sparked this to begin with. And meanwhile, FDLE looking at the officer-involved shooting aspect.
Yeah, we've seen these officer-involved shootings where FDLE has led that investigation. They're the state leaders in those investigations. So that's going to take some time. We've seen these up to a year. I don't think it'll take that long in this case. I think it's pretty much cut and dry. But once FDLE does that investigation, they're going to refer that over to the state attorney's office and potentially a grand jury to double check their work, if you will. After that, the Orlando Police Department Internal Affairs and Professional Standards Division will conduct an administrative investigation to make sure that everyone involved followed OPD policies. And then, you have the criminal element of this. We know we have multiple people involved, potentially multiple drug and gun charges. So those are going to be wrangled out in court. What I'm more interested to see is the fatally injured or the fatally shot individual that OPD shot. Is he going to be complicit and charged? The guy coming out with the AK-47, is he going to be complicit and charged with the death of his partner who got caught up in this? The statute's pretty clear on that. There's case law that if you go rob a bank and you're the getaway driver, you don't actually go into the store, and the robber shoots and kills someone, you can be charged with murder as well.
Some interesting things to watch there, that's for sure. James Copenhaver, former sheriff's detective and investigator. We always appreciate your perspective, and thanks so much for joining us this morning here on Fox 35 News Plus.
Always good to be with you. Thank you.